Ladies and gentlemen, this is the world famous Jonesy and Brown show. That man is Mike Jones. My name is John Brown. Getting ready for the conference championship games. Conference championship games in which feature a team that we cheer for, a team that we're fans of, a team that we like, and the San Francisco 49ers. They're the last two teams in the NFC, which means the Giants season is over. The Cowboys season is over. Given the way this season, the postseason played out, Eagles played what? Eagles played Saturday night. What did they play? Saturday night or Sunday night? I can't remember.
Eagles played Saturday night.
Eagles played Saturday night.
So they had the longer rest.
Yeah, Cowboys played Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
Did that make for the perfect evening? You watched your Eagles trounce the New York Giants, destroyed the Giants, dogged the Giants.
It worked out to be a good weekend. It did.
Yeah. But after when it was all said and done, when it was all said and done,
it was a great weekend. But
it was.
I want to go through the weekend backwards, if you'll indulge me for a second.
You want to go backwards? Okay, all right.
Backwards, if you'll indulge me for a second.
Okay.
Because I want to start with how great Sunday night felt. To be able to watch that game with zero anxiety, knowing my team already won and is already secured their spot. Being able to sit back and watch the Cowboys do cowboy things.
Cowboys definitely.
That was like the perfect end to the weekend.
The Cowboys went up there, went to San Fran, and just straight up cowboyed. That's
12 points. 12 points.
12.
If you're paying $40 million to your quarterback.
The kicker who couldn't do anything right. The one bad thing about their team in the wild card round continued to be awful.
Well, honestly, I don't think the kicker was the problem in that game. His first extra point attempt was blocked. And then he made a couple field goals. Like, he made his next extra point.
But the way it played out, because they go through the divisional round and they handle their business in Tampa Bay. But the only blemish on that game was the fact that the kicker was awful.
Kicker was awful in the divisional round.
Yeah, and then he comes up.
I'm sorry, in the wild card round.
Yeah, but the fact that he then comes out and starts the game with a blocked kick. A kick that most people who are watching the game wasn't going to be good anyway.
And that's the thing. Like, it looks bad, but I think at least mentally for him, it being blocked, he could tell himself, at least that's not my fault.
Could he?
He can't. A block's not his fault. As long as you know he had his timing down, the block wasn't his fault.
Either way, this fool has
the O-line didn't hold up. This
fool has the rest of the offseason to think about that, and he's probably not going to have a job long.
Probably not.
There's no way you can bring that guy back into your locker room. He's done.
Oh yeah, he's gone.
Yeah, you're hitting him with the KRS-One. You bringing him into the office, you playing that KRS-One. Do you ever think about when you're out of here? You want to go even go more? You want to hit him with the Craig Mack? You ain't gonna be around next year. He's done.
Yeah, and a lot of coaches from that squad got let go today too.
Cowboys done. And that's why, and it's crazy. You talked about it last week. You remember last week we started the show. You were talking about the roaches coming out and how the abundance of roaches are coming out. And I kind of tied that into Giants fans in the sense that I knew a whole bunch of Giants fans who hadn't talked about football in years, who now want to talk about football now that the Giants made a playoff run. All those Giants fans are quiet again. So all those roaches went back in the hiding. You turn the lights off, you don't see them no more. But Cowboys fans are like super roaches. They don't care if the lights are on. They don't care if the lights are out. Cowboys fans are just going to chirp.
That's what they do.
That is what they do. That is what they do because for some reason, like the whole world realizes they're mediocre, but them. Cowboys went out there and cowboyed.
Mm-hmm. They did cowboy things.
Their $40 million quarterback went out there and just, you saw what he did.
And see, that's my thing. I'm the guy who talks about quarterbacks and their productivity relative to their contracts. A quarterback's productivity to me is should always, I should say, be talked about in direct relation to his salary cap percentage.
Yeah, exactly.
Dak Prescott's making $40 million.
40.
If I've got Brock Purdy or Jalen Hurts making less than $1 million, making $1 million or less, I can put a whole lot of cushion around their mistakes by building out the roster.
Yep.
But if I got a guy making $40 million, I need $40 million worth of productivity from you.
You ain't gonna get that throwing interceptions.
Like when they say, is he an average quarterback? My question is he getting average numbers for the quarterback position? My question is he getting average production for $40 million worth of cap space?
$40 million got you one touchdown in a divisional round.
12 points.
12 points.
In a playoff game. That's unacceptable.
12 points in a playoff game, and the fact of the matter is you're sitting here and Cowboys fans at any given moment will tell you the Cowboys are the team to beat. They believe this in their heart. They honestly believe it. They believe it. They believe it in their soul. And then see, the thing is, we talk about this, and Cowboys fans will say, oh, everybody's hating on us. Everybody's hating on. Everyone hates on you because you swear your team is the team to beat. We talked about players like Herbert last week, and I talked about how people always want to shoehorn Herbert into that elite conversation. They want to shoehorn players like Herbert into a level higher than they should be.
People absolutely put him into the elite category before he should.
Yeah.
He's a very talented young quarterback.
Yeah. But what I'm saying in that same
there's a long gap between very talented young quarterback and elite quarterback.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And I'm saying Cowboys fans do that to the Cowboys all the time. Like when you talk about like the elite teams this season, and you're going off record. So you're talking about the Chiefs. You're talking about the Eagles. You're talking about the Minnesota Vikings, record-wise. My thoughts on the Vikings aside, record-wise, the Vikings were an elite team. Had an elite record, I'll put it that way. Mm-hmm. Cowboys fans weren't necessarily up there during the conversation, but you'll say, hey, you'll say, like, say you're making a argument against the Eagles.
And for me, I personally think the 4 best teams in the league this year are the 4 teams you have in the Final Four.
Okay, I believe that. But like
Buffalo might be able to get into the conversation. Minnesota has an argument because of their record, but eyeball test says no. Especially when you look and see they lost a combined 64-10 to the Eagles and the Cowboys.
But my point is,
so you say elite teams. I got those 4.
You got those 4, but when you start to make. I think of those 4 teams, probably the Kansas City Chiefs is the one unanimous team. The one team everyone would just say, okay, they're elite. There is no there'd be very little argument against them. But there were people who doubted the Eagles during the season. They made it.
Some of those doubts were fair, especially early on.
Fair enough.
Fair enough.
But my point is, when you're
The
trying,
Chiefs were like the blue chips coming in.
I understand that, but the Chiefs, but that's the Chiefs.
Mm-hmm.
Cowboys fans want to tell you that, hey, they're not the Chiefs or the Cowboys. Like trying to shoehorn them into that conversation. Okay, you want to make an argument that the Eagles aren't the Chiefs. Okay, I get that. I understand that. But when Cowboy fans will be like, yeah, they're not the Chiefs, they're not the Bengals, they're not the Cowboys.
What?
Who put the Cowboys in this conversation? When did the Cowboys make it to this? When did the Cowboys become elite this season? At what point in time during this season did you ever look at the Dallas Cowboys and say that team's elite? You didn't.
They showed flashes of having an elite defense early in the year. Before they prior to playing the Eagles, their defense looked elite. I didn't say the entire team. The defense.
That's it. Yes, you said their
prior
defense.
To playing the Eagles.
They're exactly. But
because early in the year they had what's his name playing quarterback.
Cooper Rush.
Because Dak was so there's no way I can call your offense elite with Cooper Rush at QB. But their defense looked like the real thing early.
Defense looked like,
and to be fair, even up until the divisional round of the playoffs against San Fran, they only gave up 19 points.
Yeah.
It's not that like the defense came out and played bad and they gave up a lot of points. They just only scored 12.
But nonetheless, that little bit of cute kudos that you gave to Dallas right then and there is enough fuel for a Dallas Cowboy fan to try and shoehorn them into that next level conversation. There you go. There you have it. Cowboys elite. Cowboys great. Cowboys are home, and I'm enjoying it. Cowboys, and they're still trying to shoehorn themselves in the conversations. I'm sitting and me, you know me. We have talked about this. You have known me for years. I am someone who has enjoyed giving people the smoke. I feel like when people ask for it, that for years it has been. I felt like I felt like it was my job. Like
there'll be plenty of times when I say, "What's the point?"
Yes,
and you're gonna go in.
Yeah,
you feel like
I have tried, huh?
I said you feel obliged.
I do. In the past, I have, but now I am trying to do better. I am working on doing better. I am a better person. I have engaged very little with Cowboys fans. The reason why is because my team is in the conference championship. I owe it to the San Francisco 49ers and the San Francisco 49er fan base to give them my attention. They deserve the smoke. I'm talking to them. I'm not talking to a team. I'm not talking to a fan base of a team that's watching the playoffs with me. Cowboys are in Cancun right now. Cowboys are on the golf course. Cowboys are doing exit interviews. They're on TikTok. They're on Twitter. My team is at the practice facility. My team's got a game on Sunday. Why do I care about the Cowboys? Let the Cowboys try to shoehorn themselves into another conversation of teams that are great when they're not great.
Now, I will say this, JB, because you know me.
Yes.
At no point in the time that you've known me have I ever rooted for or picked any Cowboys team to win.
You hate them like I hate them.
Like, if we needed them to win for us to make the playoffs, I guess we're just out the playoffs that year.
Exactly. That would make me angrier. Just you like me. That would make me angrier that the Eagles put themselves in a position where they need the Cowboys to win to succeed.
But
that would piss me off.
But I will say this. I was not fully committed to the idea of them losing to San Francisco going into that game.
Okay.
Simply because I like the idea of being able to beat them in Philly.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Okay.
That would have been fun.
Would have been fun.
That would have been a lot of fun.
Would have been fun.
Especially, I mean, think about it. You go in, like, it'd have been an NFC East road to the Super Bowl if that would have happened.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
A division got coming into the year, most people looked at like it was going to be one of the lesser divisions, the NFC least, as it were.
Mm-hmm.
Instead, you got 3 teams into the playoffs. You almost had a 4th.
Yep.
And you had to go through one team in the divisional round. If you'd have had to go through the next one in the conference championship, all NFC East, that would have been a crazy path.
Yeah.
So for that reason alone, it wouldn't have thoroughly upset me, completely angered me if the Cowboys had beat San Francisco.
Okay.
But I enjoyed watching them lose.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I enjoy watching them lose. I enjoy reading the tweets of all the angry, bitter Cowboys fans because, you know, they're all in their feelings now. That's been great. That's been a wonderful thing. I enjoy that. And it's good to move on. It helps me and it makes me appreciate what we got going on Sunday. Cowboys is done. Season over.
So let me ask you a question.
Okay.
I think you wrote it down. I know I had 31-13 last week.
Yes,
what score did you have going into that game?
I had 33-20.
You had 33-20.
I had 33-20. You had 31-13. I got it right here.
So you were giving them 20 points.
I was a fool. I was wrong. I gave them too much credit.
I was expecting blowout. Mm-hmm. It became a bigger blowout than I expected.
Yeah.
But I gave it an 18-point win. They ended up making it, 31?
Yeah. I was wrong. I was wrong.
I mean, you predicted Eagles win, so you weren't completely wrong.
Yeah. I gave
you weren't expecting.
I gave the Giants way too much credit. Apparently, I thought they would do better than that, and they didn't.
And see, going into that game, I really just felt like the Giants, top to bottom, lacked the talent to match up with a healthy Eagles team at every level. Like the only position where they really match up is running back versus running back. You know, like Miles versus Saquon, a healthy Saquon. Yeah, you're going to take a healthy Saquon, but it's not like Miles Sanders had a bad year this year. He was a very productive running back.
Yeah. Yep.
And behind this offensive line, the running game has routinely dominated teams when given the opportunity.
Yes.
You know, the game's a running game. What didn't produce big numbers this season, you can usually look at the number of attempts rather than yards per attempt.
Yep. And they ran the ball well, man. And
ran for 268, 264, something like that. 260 something.
Gainwell 112 yards. Sanders 90 yards. Boston Scott even had 32 yards. And it was crazy. It's funny that very first drive, and it was I was torn. Because you know how you and I and friend of the show, Javon Alford, we like to we text each other a lot during sporting events. And they were moving the ball well on that first drive, but it was so pass heavy. And it was like, all right, they scored. Do I complain that they're you knew that the Eagles would have to run the ball to have some success. And early on, it looked like they were ignoring the run. Now, when the game, as you knew as the game went on.
The bigger the league gets, the more they're going to run.
Yeah.
My thing is, I'm okay with them taking their shots downfield early and looking for the explosive plays, but I get frustrated when I watch them throw the ball on 3 straight first downs.
Mm-hmm.
You know, situationally, there are times where I was like, okay, first and 10, you should run the ball 60% of the time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's just how I feel. Even if it's 50-50, you'll see the Eagles sometimes in games go 70-80% first down pass. That's what I say you're forgetting about. Like, you with this offensive line and these running backs, you can get yourself into 2nd and 5, 2nd and 6s on a regular basis, rather than running the risk of being in a 2nd and 10 or longer, but because of an unsuccessful passing play. So those are the situations where it's like, yeah, let's run the ball. And I believe that first play of the game, they came out and handed the ball off.
Yeah, very first play of the game was a handoff to Miles Sanders,
and that settled me down. That settled me down because it was on first down. They ran the ball.
They ran the ball, and it was like, but then, like for me, and I was a little worried, but I was like, all right, you know, I'm like, they scored. So how angry can I really be? How frustrating can I be? Now, if the drive stalled and they end up punting,
now what was the second play of the game?
Second play past Devontae Smith,
the deep shot,
the 40-yard shot. Yes.
Yeah.
Then past the Goddard.
So at that point, you run the ball first down. That makes me feel like, okay, the coach is at least acknowledging the running game. Second down play, you have a successful deep shot. Now you're just like, okay, these guys can't stop us.
Mm-hmm. Well, then,
at that point, I don't care what they call. Do whatever you want.
All right. No, that I hear you. First play, of course, run to Sanders. Then the pass to Smith. Then a pass to Goddard. Then a pass to Smith. Then a pass to A.J. Brown. Then it looked like a run. A design run for Hurts. Another run for Hurts. And then on third down, the pass got it for the TD.
So only one handoff to a running back on that drive.
Yeah. Now, like I said, I was a little worried, but once again they scored. So I'm not I want to sound like I want to sound like people think Seth Joyner sounds. Everyone says Seth Joyner's always negative. I didn't want to be that. I didn't want people to think I'm being negative on the scoring drive.
Seth gives great information, but he does sound angry a lot.
He does. He does. But and people just always think he's always negative, and that's not always the case. But still, nonetheless, as the game went on, I realized I was overreacting. I liked the game plan. At first, I was concerned, but once again, Nick Sirianni proves why they pay him the millions, and I do the show with you for free. There's a reason he's the coach and I'm the podcast host.
But yeah, the only thing that bothers me is that over the course of the game, in my opinion, they'll throw too much on first downs.
Agreed.
But beyond that, and because if you have an unsuccessful passing play on first down, you put yourself in a situation where you have to throw on second and third down.
Yep.
Like you limit your options.
What's crazy is you talk about that first drive, that first scoring drive, that second scoring drive when they get the ball back, because Giants are forced to punt. You come right back, hand off to Sanders. Hand off to Sanders. Hand off to Gainwell. Pass to A.J. Brown. Hurts runs for 9. Hand off to Gainwell. Hand off to Sanders. Pass to Devontae Smith for another touchdown. Eagles go up 14-0. At that point, I'm like, oh, you know what? Put the phone back. I put the phone back down.
Nothing to worry about.
First drive, I'm like, are you? I was ready to say, are you worried about all this passing that they're doing? Then after the second drive, I'm like, you know what? Nick's got this.
And the other part of that is that you're up against an opponent where there's a significant talent gap.
Yeah.
So that gives you a little bit more flexibility in your play call, and when you're playing against somebody who's not, for the most part, capable of capitalizing on any mistakes that you may make.
Yeah. Agreed. Let me ask you a question, and I just want your opinion. I'm just throwing this out there. This is a random thought. I'm throwing this out there. Would you say, would you be willing to say that the Giants are sort of like where the Eagles were last year? You know, taking advantage of the extra playoff spot, getting in there, and really, you know, like last year they made the playoffs. There really wasn't a lot of expectations for the Eagles to make the playoffs, and at that point, you're really like, you know what, whatever they do.
Like start of the year, nobody thought you were going to make the playoffs anyway.
Yeah.
So once you get there, you're dealing with house money. I think that's the situation the Giants and the Jaguars found themselves in going into this playoff.
And both of them ended up winning a game in the playoffs. So it was like, so even that, so you know that even puts them ahead of where the Eagles were, because the Eagles come in there last year,
got blown out in the playoffs.
It got cooked. So you know, like hats off to the Giants. You know, for Giants fans, you know, I hope this, you know, leads to some success. Not against the Eagles, but you know, good luck to y'all.
Problem for the Giants is, unlike the Eagles, the Giants are in a situation where they have to make a decision on their quarterback right now.
Yeah.
So it's either pay him, and then with him getting a pay raise, there'd be a talent drain on the rest of the roster, or replace him, which means you have to start over with teaching a new QB how to play the NFL game. And what course do you go to get that? You drafted a QB, you don't have the top pick, you're in the playoffs, or you go spend money or trade for a veteran that's already in the league. But so they've got decisions to make that the Eagles didn't this year.
Real quick, you put on your GM hat. What do you do with Daniel Jones?
I think the Giants should give him whatever money he wants.
Are you saying that as a GM who really likes the Eagles and wants to see the Giants implode?
Exactly.
Okay. I'll take it.
That's exactly what I want to see.
All right. Now
he wants to reset the market. Give him $60 million a year. Guarantee all of it for 10 years.
Give Daniel Jones that Dak money. Let him have some of that Dak money.
Oh, give him that Deshaun Watson money.
Oh yeah. All right, moving on, because we still have another game to talk about. We're still playing. Our season is going on. Got the Niner gang coming to town. Brock Purdy, Mr. Not So Irrelevant. Can't call a dude who's won two playoff games in his rookie year irrelevant. He's not that anymore.
Not irrelevant.
Not irrelevant.
Definitely not irrelevant. You know what? Before we go any further, and anyone thinks that I am denigrating or disrespecting Brock Purdy, I want to be clear. Brock Purdy has had a very successful first season in the NFL. He has exceeded all expectations. He is a legit NFL player.
Yes.
And no matter what happens for the rest of his career, The San Francisco 49ers exceeded expected value with that draft pick. That being said, Brock Purdy doesn't want any parts of what Philly's about to do to him this week.
See, every now and then, you go somewhere with a point that I honestly was not expecting you to go. I was
caught you off guard with that one.
You did, because I was going to kind of be pedestrian with the point that I was going to make, and you were just like, "Nah, we just gonna cross the street. We just gonna go there." Because the point I was going to make was, I am more confident in Jalen Hurts' ability to make plays against this San Francisco defense. And this San Francisco defense is good.
It's a very good defense.
It's a very good defense. I fully expect Jalen Hurts to have to make more plays against the San Francisco defense than I think Brock Purdy will be able to make against the Eagles defense.
And that's a fair assessment. But my feelings, I guess, are a little stronger, because here's the thing. Remember, let's think back a few months. First 3-4 weeks of the season, first 5 weeks of the season.
All right.
Eagles defense is fully healthy. What did that defense look like?
Oh, they was getting after people. They was out there. They were.
I was regularly saying it's the best secondary in the league.
Mm-hmm. Had Slay.
Since that time, you said
Maddox stepped up.
Mm-hmm. There were a few injuries on defense. Maddox missed some time. Then Gardner Johnson missed some time. Jordan Davis missed some time. You brought in Joseph and Sue.
Yep.
And then Maddox was back for a game, then went back out.
He got hurt again, yep.
And while he's out again, Gardner Johnson makes his way back.
Mm-hmm.
And we know the additions to Sue and Joseph to that defensive line rotation have made the defensive front significantly better.
Deeper.
Stopping the run deeper. Significantly better against the run as a group since they came in. And the depth makes sure that everyone is able to stay fresh and play to their full potential.
Mm-hmm.
And now the back end is fully healthy again. This will be the first time that defense has been at 100% all year, clicking at all cylinders. I don't think Brock Purdy's seen anything like this all year.
No.
I know he hasn't. A defensive front that can get interior pressure, edge pressure, linebackers that can actually play their positions.
Mm-hmm.
And again, a fully healthy, because Avonte Maddox returned to practice this week.
Yep.
What appears to be going into this game a fully healthy Eagles secondary. If that's the case, and even though this 49ers team does have a very good skill group of players, as long as Jonathan Gannon does not sit back and let receivers make easy, uncontested catches and run after the catch, like, you don't have to be all the way up in press man. You just can't be back at prevent depth, you know? Yeah. If you're actually up and challenging the receivers and making Purdy take that extra beat to find the open man with this pass rush coming from multiple angles, edge and up the middle, it's going to be a rough day for Brock Purdy.
Yeah, this might This might be Brock Purdy's soul to soul game.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna be back to life, back to reality.
And as a 7th round pick rookie, for it to take getting all the way to the NFC championship game,
yes.
That's no slight against the kid.
No, not at all.
Job well done.
Because it's not like if let's say what you just said happens. Brock Purdy spends an entire game, 60 minutes, just under siege.
Mm-hmm.
And the 49ers lose. They lost to the number 1 seed in the NFC. Team with one of the best, a team with one of the best records in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
14-3.
So it's not like a team that got 70 sacks, led the league in turnover differential.
It's not like if the 49ers lose, it's not like they're losing to a lesser team. This wouldn't be an upset.
At all. It's not like losing to the Giants.
No, exactly. So it's like the Eagles need to do what they've been able to do all season. And there's no reason not to expect them to be able to do that. I think, the 49ers are a good team. And we are not in a place where thinking that the Eagles can win, expecting the Eagles to win, wanting the Eagles to win has to necessarily be a slight or a swipe on the San Francisco 49ers.
No, at this point, you just kind of have to admit it. This Eagles roster is loaded.
This Eagles roster is loaded, yes. It's a loaded roster.
Like, there's no position on this team that you would say is a hole. Not one.
No. You have your quarterback
at the beginning of the year you thought were questions. Quarterback was a question beginning of the year after what we saw when he was last on the field against Tampa Bay in the playoffs. The questions coming into this year about Jalen Hurts were fair. At this point, I've never seen a quarterback in the NFL improve as much as Hurts has improved this year, this quickly. It's amazing the leap he's made from last year to this year.
This is a man who has answered the questions, and taken the time, put in the work, and answered whatever questions you may have had about him.
The linebacker core, how is the secondary going to mesh? All those questions. Like, we knew about the offensive line in the running game.
Yep.
We knew about the defensive line depth and rotation. But the secondary, the linebackers, the quarterback, the receiver core, how they were going to mesh with, like, these things were all questions going into the year, and they've all been answered, and they've all exceeded expectations.
Look, man, everything you just said, Howie Roseman, executive of the year, man.
I mean, think about this secondary we're calling I call the best secondary in the league this year. James Bradbury was cut by a division opponent this year. Like, they didn't even trade him; they just cut him. We don't want you anymore.
Ended up getting an interception interception against in the playoffs. How much is that?
Gardner Johnson, the Saints didn't think he was worth paying what he wanted. And then so after trading him, he got moved to a new position from cornerback to safety. We weren't sure exactly how that was going to look. So there were some of these questions about the Eagles going into the year were fair.
Yeah. Yes.
Like, a lot of over-unders were set at 9.5, 10 wins, somewhere in that range. And most of us thought that was a fair number. Of course, there were fans projected 10, 11, 12 wins. And there's always the guys that say undefeated.
Oh.
But nobody expected 14-3 and in
No
the
one
manner
expected.
that they went 14-3.
Yeah.
It wasn't the Kirk
Agreed.
Cousins have to come back on the last drive of the game 13 wins. They were out there handling teams.
Yes, definitely. Handled them. And all that speaks to why Howie Roseman voted Executive of the Year from the Pro Football Writers of America.
Mm-hmm.
That's official.
I mean, that was a gimme, though. I think everyone knew Howie had that.
Yeah.
He had that one locked up in August.
But
you saw the draft, and you saw the AJ Brown move, you saw the Bradbury signing. Like as long as these guys made the playoffs, that one was a given.
But I guess my thing is it kind of speaks to the conversation you and I had earlier in the season when we were talking about Jalen Hurts and why we didn't think the MVP award was in the cards for him.
Mm-hmm.
And then you fast forward to this week as a lot of the postseason awards, the finalists for those awards were announced. And yes, Jalen Hurts is right now a finalist. He's an MVP finalist. Now, here's some. I'm not quite sure if I understand it, but Nick Sirianni was of the final 5 for Coach of the Year, but they've already
didn't make the final 3.
He didn't make the final 3, and it's like they announced the final 3 the same time they announced the final 5. So there's so people are going back and forth. Like, is he a finalist or is he not a finalist? But he was in the final 5, not the final 3.
Right.
Hassan Reddick wasn't even a finalist for Defensive Player of the Year. Hassan Reddick, not even in the conversation. And part of, when we were talking about Jalen Hurts a couple of weeks ago,
mm-hmm.
And Michael Parsons had come out and asked, was it the system or was it the quarterback? Was it the team around him or was it the quarterback? And
I think that's affecting a lot of the other guys too.
Yeah, but I guess to me, I'm sitting here thinking and for me personally, I understand that this is not necessarily the case. I understand that this is not necessarily how it works. But I'm saying for me personally, I'm like, if we're sitting here saying that it's the team around them, the team as a whole is why Jalen Hurts can't be MVP. The team around him as a whole is the reason why Coach Sirianni can't be Coach of the Year. The team around him as a whole is the reason why Hassan Reddick can't be Defensive Player of the Year. So I guess that means that Howie Roseman Executive of the Year because he put this team together.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I'm like. Then he, like you said, it was a shoe-in back in August. For you, it was a shoe-in. For you,
put this roster together. That was a shit.
Yeah. So if you're at a point where
and then still is sitting pretty with a couple first rounders going into next year.
10th round, we got the 10th pick in the draft. In the conference champion, this is right up here with Detroit winning the chip and still having the 2nd pick in the draft. The Detroit Pistons.
Yeah, it's up. Too bad they drafted Darko.
That's another story. But still, but nonetheless, I'm like, okay, then if this is really how we're making the case against Hurts, against Sirianni, against Reddick, against these players.
Mm-hmm.
Then you are making the case for Howie Roseman for Executive of the Year. In my opinion.
Absolutely.
You agree with me?
I think your logic on that one is sound.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that.
I think your logic on that one is sound. Like because I think a lot of these voters are looking at some of these player awards and saying, I don't know if I can give that guy that much credit when he has all these other guys around him making plays too. So if you're going to take that line of thinking, then you absolutely have to credit the executive that put all these guys together to make everyone's job so easy for them.
Exactly. I agree. So I never truly understand how the postseason awards go. So he was voted. He was named Executive of the Year from the Pro Football Writers of America. So I guess there's another. Is there another one coming from the AP or
Oh no, they do the Pro Football Writers do all the awards, I believe.
Okay, all right. Well, all right. So Howie's the guy.
Howie's the guy.
Howie's the guy. MVP will more than likely go to Patrick Mahomes, and at that,
And it's
you're
not.
yelling at
You can't sit there and say like, "Oh,
yeah.
Mahomes is not good enough to be MVP." Like you can't argue that. But the season had.
I heard somebody say when they're talking about Patrick Mahomes, it was like, "Yeah, Jalen's gonna get robbed." I'm like, that's not necessary. Giving the MVP award to Patrick Mahomes is not robbing Jalen Hurts. You give it to like Daniel Jones, then I might say, yeah, man, Hurts got robbed. You give it to Kirk Cousins, not that he was I don't even think he was a finalist, but you give it to somebody like that. Okay, yeah, Jalen Hurts got robbed. Patrick Mahomes, no, there's a real case to be made for Patrick Mahomes, and that's a case that I'm really not going to argue. I'm good on that one. I'm real good on that one. But nonetheless, still got a game this weekend. You agree with me that the Eagles will have a better chance with Jalen Hurts against the Niners defense than Brock Purdy will have against the Eagles defense. So that being said, what is your prediction for Sunday?
I think the Eagles. All right, so I think the 49ers secondary it's not bad, but it's not the strength of their defense. I think there will be plays there to be made for Smith and Brown and Goddard and maybe even Quez Watkins. You may see a Quez sighting this weekend.
Okay.
I think the success you'll see in the past will create opportunities to run for the Eagles. And I think because of that, you'll probably end up with a score of something like 34-24.
Oh, I didn't smack the microphone. This man said 34-24 from my man.
Yeah, I got
Jonesy.
Eagles by double digits.
There you go. I am going to go 30-17.
Okay, you got Eagles by double digits as well.
I got them by double digits. Maybe another. I figure a touchdown late. One of them games where it's closer than the score suggests.
I'm giving the 49ers 24 out of respect for all the weapons they do have. Like they do have some real playmakers on that team. Debo and Kittle and McCaffrey and Brandon Ayuk is a good young receiver. So they have guys that can make plays. So I'm not saying the Eagles are just going to come out here and shut them out. But I think there will be more plays available to be made for the Eagles than there will be available for the 49ers.
Agreed. All right. Here's the thing, man. If our predictions come to fruition this time next week, we're talking about a Super Bowl run, man.
If our predictions come to fruition,
we're talking about
we might take another bye week next week and then come back with a Super Bowl show.
Oh boy.
We might. Okay. I don't know.
Might. Okay, we'll look, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But you know what? It's going to be an exciting time. How are you going to watch the game, man?
Haven't decided yet. I haven't decided yet. Got to come up with something good for the game.
Okay, all right. I gotta work. I gotta work Monday morning, so I will be watching the game.
Ah,
So
but
I
you'll be
you know,
watching home where you can
yeah,
get some sleep.
yeah. I need to, and it's always good. Those games are always hard. It's like it's. I need I need a blowout in some form of fashion.
Do you think the Super Bowl should be a Saturday game?
I heard that, and as far as that is concerned, I've never cared either way. That's truly one of them things.
You
It's
don't
like
have to
I don't.
worry about. They
Yeah,
could give you a 7, 8 o'clock start, like because they don't give you the 6 o'clock start anymore. They give you what? Or is it a 6 o'clock start?
they say it's a 6 o'clock start, but six
But it
o'clock
ends up
becomes
being
like
more like
yeah,
7.
yeah, 6:35, 6:40, or
Mhm.
something like that. It's like the Super Bowl is one of them times
And
where
then
it's
you've
like
got the elongated halftime.
yeah.
So it
Eh,
ends up being game over around 10 o'clock ish.
The, the problem is, in our lifetime, the Eagles have only been in the Super Bowl twice. Well, three times if you count 1980, but
Yeah, that we were actually old
we
enough to
yeah,
understand.
yeah. So both times the Eagles have been in the Super Bowl, I just didn't have to work that Monday. That was just how my schedule. I know this. If the Eagles make the Super Bowl this year, I will have to be at work the next morning. If they win, there's a good chance that I just won't get any sleep. I'm just gonna have to realize that, drink a lot of coffee, crash when I get home.
Now, the last time the Eagles won a Super Bowl,
Yes.
I'm pretty sure I was out in the streets of Philadelphia
Uh-huh.
till 3, 4 in the morning.
Now I would. No one was crazy, and I will say this because the whole area was lit. I was in Willow Grove. Willow Grove was lit.
Hmm.
If you all the way in the suburb, Montgomery County was lit.
Oh, everywhere. Anywhere
Everywhere.
within an hour radius.
Yeah.
W-
Yeah. Did you go to the parade? I can't remember. Did you go to the
I
parade?
didn't go to the parade
Okay. And I look, and I'm not
because
going
I
to do
was
too
out
much.
Ben Franklin Parkway
Yeah.
the night of the game, the night
Uh-huh.
they won. I was out there with that crowd. I
Okay.
can't do it again.
Okay. See, I didn't do all that, but I went to the parade. I went to the parade by myself. I went to the parade by myself. Didn't have no crew. Didn't have nothing. And had a ball. If the opportunity presents itself this year, I already said I'm not going to the parade. I will not do the parade this year.
No
If
parade
there
this year.
if there is a parade, I will watch it on television. I'm good. I'm happy with my 1 year, my 1 year memories. But that's a bridge we'll cross when we get there. I'm not going to spend too much time on that. But nonetheless, Jonesy says 34-24 Eagles. I say 30-17 Eagles. We will see. Join us next week and
Who do you have coming out the AFC? Who do you think? Who do you
I,
got there? I'm curious.
that ankle injury from Mahomes scares me. Before he rolled up that ankle, I would have said Kansas City. Now I'm leaning more towards Cincinnati.
Eagles and Bengals were my picks from the time the playoffs started, so I'm rolling with it.
Yeah,
This Eagles team is loaded. And there's something about that Joe Burrow kid. He's just a
yeah,
winner.
yeah, oh
So
yeah. He
that's my
he's a
Super
winner,
Bowl
but
matchup.
he won't be this year. He'll be a 2-time Super Bowl loser this year. But it's all well.
We'll talk about that after the week,
Okay,
after the weekend.
all right, definitely. Hey, you let us know what you think of this podcast. Hit us up, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Jonesy and Brown, or you can hit us up, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter at BITW Sports. Remember, go to BITWsports.com. Find us wherever you get your podcast and download and subscribe. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Follow us on social media. Follow us wherever you see us. Hit us up, talk to us. That is Mike Jones over there.
That's John Brown.
Yes, I am. You enjoy the weekend. Enjoy the football. We will be back at some point. I don't know when.
Soon.
But we will be back real soon. Talk to you guys later, y'all. Have a good weekend. Peace.
Peace.